Welcome to Confused Matthew and Baffled Beth's review of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, Part 1. Saw this yesterday. We've been thinking about it a while. I'm going to go ahead and let her start this off because I already know what I'm going to say, and I think you do too. But you go ahead and start us off, and I will take it from there.
Hello, everyone. Well, first of all, I guess a few of you thought I had no right to be reviewing any of these movies, but I just wanted to start off by saying that I am actually a really, really big Harry Potter fan, so I think I have some sort of, say in
foot in the door.
And, if I like this movie or not. I think that my opinion might be valued and valid, and so shove it. And first of all, I'd like to say, it wasn't my favorite of all the movies. I still think that number 4, the Goblet of Fire, was still my favorite.
Mine too.
But I liked it. I don't know. I thought they did a pretty good job of interpreting the book. They put all the important parts in there, and they did a good job. We'll discuss more later, but let's hear what Confused Matthew thought about it.
Well, as for the book, I think I've made myself clear as to how I feel about the last book. I think it's a big pile of garbage that J.K. Rowling crapped out in a weekend, and I didn't even want to see one movie about that book. But the funny thing is, ever since I learned that this was going to be split up into 2 movies, like the day I learned this was going to be split up into 2 movies, I actually said, why does this need to be 2 movies? What's the first movie going to be? Them sitting around in a tent for 2 hours? But the thing that makes that funny is, I was joking. And then you see the movie, and oh my god, it actually is them just sitting in a tent for 2 hours. And, fuck me if anybody can tell me what the hell this movie is about. The basic premise just kind of runs like this. Like, I can pretty much just summarize the whole thing right now. You start off with Harry Potter being chased, and then they're like, oh, Harry Potter was chased. Well, they didn't get him. Anyway, let's go dick around in a pointless wedding. Oh, okay, hey, the wedding got attacked, but we all got out. Anyway, let's go dick around in Sirius's old house and talk about Horcruxes. Oh, hey, we found a Horcrux. Let's go track it down. Okay, we got it. Anyway, let's go sit around in a tent and talk about the Horcrux or 2. The whole movie, just like the book, is just these 3 people sitting around waiting for the next action sequence to happen to them. How is that a story? This is the worst movie I've seen in a very long time. I think the last time I saw a movie this bad was Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. And I think I'd rather watch that because more happened in that movie. This movie fucking blew, but go ahead and tell me why you liked it.
Well, first of all, I just don't even understand why you didn't like the book. I don't understand. Okay, so first of all, you liked the books up till number 6.
Yes, I liked all of the book. I even liked the book, the 5th book, and that was one that fans didn't really like very much. They thought it was really thin and boring.
That's my favorite book, but
no. Was it the 5th?
The 5th is
Which
Order
one
of
is
the Phoenix.
Which one is the half-blood prince?
Six.
Oh, that's the one that most people.
Right.
I even liked that one. I even liked the movie based on that book. I liked all the books and movies except for this. I don't even know why I'm calling it what movie.
Well, what I wanted to, okay, if you like the plot all up until the 6th book, and so in the 6th book they introduced the Horcruxes.
Yes.
So what do you think that they should have done in the 7th book?
I don't. You see, this is what I think. Because a lot of people
you're saying it's bad, but you have no solution.
No, I don't.
Because I don't know what you think they're supposed to do. Did you want them to go back to school?
Yes.
How are they supposed to find the Horcruxes when they're at school?
Okay, why does this have to be about them tracking down the Horcruxes? What does that have to do with the Harry Potter world? I will never understand, because every single book and movie up until this one was a story. The best part of Harry Potter was always him learning something about himself, or learning something about his life, or learning something about his family, or, getting to know somebody and not really knowing, whose side they were on until he really got to know them better. And the Harry Potter story, the Harry Potter series, has never been just about Harry versus Voldemort. This is just about Harry versus Voldemort. No one's in this. No one's happening in this. Nothing's happening. I will never understand why J.K. Rowling said, okay, this is the way I'm going to finish my series. I'm going to remove every character and setting that made people love this series and replace it with fucking camping.
Well, I think that You're right. That is what it is. It comes down to Harry and Voldemort, but that's how it was always supposed to be. He has support through his life to prepare him for this, but ultimately, I mean, that's what the prophecy said. One of them has to kill the other one.
Yes,
it has to be Harry by himself.
You said that it's preparing him for this. What is the this? What is
for him to destroy Voldemort?
And how is he doing that? By sitting around waiting for the Horcruxes to happen?
I think honestly, by putting the Horcruxes in there, it gave them something to do. Otherwise, it literally would have been just, okay, we sit around, we find Voldemort, he kills Voldemort, whatever. What? I mean, I understand what you're saying. Maybe, okay, she just made up something for him to do, but they had to find the Horcruxes. I mean, there was a lot that happened.
What in God's name happened in that movie?
In this movie we just saw.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what you thought that there was going to be. That thought there was just going to be like wand fights 100%.
No, I'm not looking. I'm not
there
just
was
looking for more action.
There was there was a lot of stuff between Ron and Hermione and Harry.
When they were sitting around not talking to each other or just wandering around.
Do they have to talk for there to be character development?
Yes, they have to talk or they have to experience something or they have to learn something about themselves. This is just them walking around looking for Horcruxes. What did they learn about themselves when they were sitting around in the tent? What did they learn about themselves when they were walking around the Ministry of Magic? What did they learn about themselves when they were laying around Sirius's house? I don't understand what event you think...
Are you just not paying attention?
No, I'm paying attention. I'm asking you, what happened?
Shut up.
No, I'm asking you, what happened that made their characters develop in this movie?
Well, first of all, they did leave some of... I mean, you can only put so much in the movie, but a lot of it was in the book about the stuff between Ron and Hermione and how they're getting closer. I mean, they even put, like, in the movie, they put that nice little scene where they fell asleep in Sirius's house and they were almost, like, holding hands when they slept. I mean, it's just little things like that. You can't just have them... I mean, you'd rather have them have a scene and going, oh, I love you, but I think you like Harry. I mean, you're not gonna, like...
No.
Just throw it out.
No, but
there
I would like something
what,
in between those two extremes.
They did,
between nothing and something.
I'm trying to explain it. And so they're in the tent, and then it showed a lot of Ron when he was recovering from being splinched. He kept watching Harry and Hermione and thinking that there was something between them, even though they're just friends and they were just planning, trying to plan what they're going to do next. And, Ron was getting jealous and then he left and then he came back and there's a lot of that. And then, when they left, or when Ron was gone, there was that... It was actually kind of really awkward little scene where Harry and Hermione were dancing. I think they were showing it. First of all, that was weird. They really needed to put that in the movie. Well, I think it was just showing that, well, first of all, it was just a little, let's have some fun because this really sucks and we're, sad and whatever. But I think it was also showing, they kind of almost maybe thought about kissing and then it was like, no, this isn't us, we're not going to do this. And I don't know, I just think that they did a good job of character development. It doesn't have to be non-stop action. I don't know what you thought.
I'm not asking for non-stop action.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, because you say, they're just sitting around in a tent. And there was about a half hour of a little bit of downtime, when they're in the tent. I think what maybe you're not getting is... They mentioned this, in some of the other movies, I can't remember at the moment when they started this, but... Voldemort's plan is to isolate Harry, to make him feel like he's alone, and so that he feels defeated. And so that's kind of what it was. It was letting us feel what he's feeling, and you wanted him to feel isolated, like he had nobody to help him, because, that's why he got them to put, like, that undesirable number one. He has the whole wizarding world against Harry.
Okay, first of all the things that you just mentioned, the stuff between Ron and Hermione and him feeling alone and isolated and everything, we've seen that in other movies.
Yeah, but it's supposed to get worse and worse.
It hasn't gotten worse. That was done better in all the other movies. That's number one. So we're not getting anything new. If the plan of this movie was to make us feel like we are just as isolated and nothing is happening just as much as it's happening to Harry,
honestly,
then that completely paid off because
it
absolutely felt like nothing was happening. But actually,
that was only a little part of the movie.
It's not even that nothing is happening. It's not literally that nothing is happening. It's extraneous things are happening. It's things that are happening that don't formulate into a story. There is no story in this movie. It's just sitting around action sequence. Sit around, action sequence. It's a very lather, rinse, repeat kind of formula to this that you didn't get in the other Harry Potter films. What would we lose in the story if you cut the wedding out? What would you lose in the story if you cut most of the camping scenes out? What would you lose in the story if you cut out the diner attack scene? What would you lose in the story if you cut out this? That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm so frustrated about this. And I said this from the beginning. This does not need to be 2 movies. Just cut everything except them getting and destroying the Horcrux and make this 1 movie. That's the only important thing that happened in this.
Okay, first of all, there's more than 1 Horcrux.
No, I'm talking about this movie. They only destroyed 1 Horcrux
well,
in this
if it was
movie.
all just they went to the Ministry, they got the Horcrux, and then they got
that
the
is
sword.
It. That is all that happened.
If that was literally all that happened, you would go, "What the fuck was this movie?" Then nothing happened. Then
that's why I'm saying
like,
that's why this doesn't need to be 2 movies.
It
Just
was more.
just take that and combine it with whatever the fuck they're gonna do in part 2, and just make this one. There is no reason this needs to be 1 movie. Why don't you just take the epilogue and make that into 2 movies? Nothing happened there either.
I don't even want to talk about that epilogue.
Well, yeah, we shouldn't get into that yet. But no, I honestly, really think about this. What fundamental difference would it make in this film if you replaced Harry, Ron, and Hermione with any other 3 people in the world? This isn't their story. It's not about them. We don't learn anything about them. They don't experience anything except sitting around. It would be exactly the same. When I read the last book, I oftentimes forgot that I was reading a Harry Potter book. And honestly, when I was watching this movie, sometimes I forgot I was watching a Harry Potter film. This is a Harry Potter film with no Harry Potter in it. No one's in it. Hagrid in it. And when I say no one's in it and nothing is happening, I don't mean that literally. What I mean is...
Hagrid was in it.
No, he wasn't. He was present, but he's not. To be in the movie, you have to add something, and you have to contribute something, and you have to be important. It could have been anybody that was driving Harry around. And that's another thing I don't like. She cuts every single good character out of these movies, but hey, we get a fucking useless Dolores Umbridge cameo. That's wonderful. We needed her to be in there, but we couldn't put anybody else in there.
Well, they had to have him have some sort of enemy, since Voldemort, he didn't really face down Voldemort, well, kind of a little bit during that scene, but when he was in the motorbike with Hagrid, but I don't know. I just think we're gonna have to agree to disagree, because
we're gonna have to.
I don't see it this way at all, and I cannot see your point of view. I just don't know what. I mean, I know you're not the author, but it's not your job, but I don't know what you think that she should have done.
I think she should have made a story like she did with the other 6 books.
That's really vague, and it's not a specific thing.
I think she should have done something to... It's as if she didn't even know that this was the last time that these people were all going to be together. I could understand her removing, Hogwarts and everything else that we love about the series, maybe in the second to last book, to change things up. You cannot remove everything that made this series great for your finale. You have nothing. This movie hinges on nothing. And another thing I really want you to think, a lot of people to think about, I'm sure a lot of people will give me an answer to this that I don't agree with. Why the fuck hell is this called Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows? The Deathly Hallows have dick to do with anything. I know we're not in this part 2 yet, and so I can't really go into exactly why, but they have dick to do with anything. They could have just as easily called this Harry Potter and the second tree he happened to pass when they were camping, for all the fuck that they have to do with anything with this goddamn story.
Well, that's a little bit of an exaggeration. I do agree that I think she just picked it because it sounded cool, I guess. I don't know.
I don't even know what they're doing in the book. I don't know what they're doing in the movie. And then I love what they did with the Deluminator, which makes absolutely no sense in the fucking universe. It's like, oh, hey, I clicked the Deluminator, and a light came out, and it went inside me, and I knew where you guys were, and also it gave me a race car for me to get there for, as long as it's doing whatever the plot needs it to do. Why not?
No, I kind of agree with that, but I'm a little upset they it wouldn't have taken them any extra time to put this in there, but in the book, for anybody who hasn't read the book, that scene where Ron said something about, the Deluminator, let me find you guys, they left out a cool little, I don't know if you remember this from the book, but a cool little dialogue where Ron said, oh great, that meant Dumbledore knew I was going to leave you guys, great, he thinks I'm a deserter, and then Harry, I think it's Harry, well it had to be Harry because Hermione wasn't talking to him at that time, but Harry said something about, no, he knew you would always come back, and he would give you the means to always find us. I think that's kind of why she wanted to put that in there, too. Besides that, yeah, it was
And
useful.
but that's fine. My problem is
But-
it didn't
and-
make any goddamn sense.
Well, because they were on the run, and nobody was supposed to be able to find them. So if they're going to have him leaving and coming back, how else would he find him? But whatever. Everybody who writes does that. You have to make up stuff to make your plot make sense.
But it's all the time in this, though. I mean, I can't talk because the whole thing with the Elder Wand becomes real bullshit in the second. What's going to be the second movie? So I can't really go into that. But I mean, it's every single thing. I didn't like a single thing about the book, and since this movie is exactly like the book, I didn't like a single thing about the movie.
You actually told me, I remember that you liked a few things about the book.
I liked one thing about the book. I liked
when Hermione beat the crap out of Ron.
No,
you said you liked that.
I did. No, that was in this. It was in
the movie too.
Yeah, I liked it better in the book. The only thing I liked about the book that I thought was very special and very true to what I love about this series is when they get into Snape's story, when they tell his whole story. That was really good.
But that's not in this one. So.
No, so unfortunately I can't give it
Tell
credit for that.
Who haven't seen it.
But I can't review the book because I don't review books. But as this movie was just as bad, this might actually turn into a regular Confused Matthew review when it comes out on DVD. I mean, it was that bad. This movie was terrible.
I just don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
They couldn't have. I don't know. I'm out of arguments, I think. She couldn't have made it like the rest of them. Because, like I said, it was building up to Harry's going to be released and on his own. Like, he's of age now.
See, I never
he's
saw
on
this.
his own.
I never saw this series.
Well, that's what the prophecy literally
hang on a
says.
second. I understand
he's
that.
the only one.
I understand
it doesn't
that.
say Harry with all of his friends standing behind him
that
the
it's
whole
going to be
time.
Harry versus Voldemort. I do not understand why she had to single out that one aspect of the story and make that a whole fucking book. I mean, she could. You can add a layer and a depth to one idea, like the layer and the depth that she had to the one idea of the Prisoner of Azkaban. The whole thing wasn't just about Harry and Sirius Black. You had just a tapestry of stories going on there, and everything connected. I'm just using that as an example because that was my favorite book. I mean, you had a very deep, rich story in that book. This is just guy versus guy. And I think
You're
that
right.
she could have done.
But I guess you just don't
I
like
think
it.
she could have put a story together and made something more interesting than just the external conflict of him tracking down Horcruxes. There's no internal conflict here. Harry is not conflicted. He's just doing what he needs to do to get to the end. And they've never done that before, and I don't like it. I think it's garbage.
All right.
Well,
there's also a few things I want to talk about just from the book. Or from the movie, just to like scenes and stuff, and like actually, I thought you said when you read the book that one thing you liked about it in the beginning was when he said goodbye to the Dursleys, and you actually liked that little.
I
thing
did,
where he
and
said
they
goodbye
left it
to
out of the
Dudley,
movie.
and they completely left. Well, I think they kind of did because they put less of the Dursleys in the movies, and I think if they had put that, everybody would have been like everybody who hadn't read the books wouldn't have got it. They would be like, but this guy was an asshole through all the movies. What's going on? Like, they wouldn't have got it, but I was a little bit sad. I really expected it when everybody they were packing up and going to the truck or to the car and putting everything in. I really thought they were going to do that. And another thing, just generalized. I mean, I liked the movie, but I tried to actually. As I was watching it, there's a few things I noticed. I was thinking, okay, if I hadn't read the books, I would be fucked. Like you'd be completely lost. There was a lot of things that they did not explain. Like, if you read the books, you're totally okay, and you might not even notice it, but if you stop and think, there's a lot of things, like, I'm sure a lot of you out there who are listening to this didn't read the books, and you're probably thinking the same thing. You were completely lost. Like, there was one thing that I'm just thinking about right now, when they broke into the Ministry, and you could see that little eye on Umbridge's window. Or on her door.
Yeah.
That was Mad Eye's eye.
Yeah.
But they never said that.
Never said,
And, like, Harry never even reacted, like, oh, it's Mad Eye, like, meaning she had something to do with it, or she somehow knew somebody who killed him or retrieved his body and gave her the eye. They just showed it just for people who read the books and see.
I know what that is.
Yeah, we put the eye, and that kind of annoys me, but then again, if they had explained every single little mention like
once
that,
again,
it would have
it's just
taken forever.
You want something in between them explaining nothing
I actually
and
do. I
explaining
do agree with
everything.
that, but since I did read the books, it was fine for me personally. I know there were several other examples of little things like that where, we would know if we'd read the book what was going on. So I think that's kind of not fair for the people who just watch the movies. Like the things like that, The Glass, where he kept looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
And they did actually mention the mirror in the, what was it, end of the third movie? Or the fifth, end of the fifth movie, where, because that was the glass that Sirius gave him, and he said, hey, here's this. Actually, they never even opened it in the movie, I think. He just gave him a package, and he said... I can't
remember.
He said, here, I'm pretty sure he said, give him, here's this package, if you ever need to get in contact with me, here you go.
And hell, for all that I liked his performance, the Mundungus character comes out of fucking nowhere. Like, he was never talked about
so we wouldn't know... Wouldn't have known who
they
the heck he was.
They kind of did explain to some extent, but like
just that he was a thief. I guess it wasn't really important.
Yeah.
Beyond that, but yeah, never explained. In the book, I think I'm giving anything away. It's probably that they're going to mention in the second movie that they didn't in the first. But it was Dumbledore's brother who had the other half of the mirror.
Yeah, they do.
And he's the one who sent Dobby. But they didn't. My point is, they didn't put that in the movie.
Well, I think they are going to put it in the second one. I guarantee.
Well, I hope so, because otherwise, if you didn't read the book and you just watch this movie and you're just like, help, okay, here's Dobby.
Well,
how the heck did that happen?
Well, they meet Aberforth in the book, so I assume
know, but my
do
point
that in the
is,
movie.
if you haven't read the book and you just watched this movie, you're going to wonder what the heck happened. Why is he talking to this mirror?
Yeah.
I don't remember this probably because I don't think they properly introduced it in the movies. And then Dobby shows up, and you're like, well, I guess that's lucky. How the heck did that happen? All right, you know what I mean? I'm just
you know
saying,
what? That
like,
is one thing that I did like about this movie.
Dobby
died.
Yeah. I don't understand why you don't like Dobby. I understand he's a little annoying, but how could you hate him? All he ever does is help.
I don't hate him. I'm joking when I say that I hate it. I just if I was Harry Potter and there was a short little thing constantly singing my praises, I would be, dude, you know what? There have been plenty of people who have been grateful for what I've done for them, and they've thanked me, and that's fine. Crawl out of my ass.
Dude, he just saved their asses, though. They were in, like, Voldemort's basement ready to die.
Nah.
I mean, you're like,
at that
stop
point,
being annoying? You don't have to be annoying about it?
At that point, I really didn't care who died and who didn't in that damn... Let me just ask you one thing before we stop here.
Okay.
Do you think that there was nothing that they could have cut from this movie and just made this one movie? You really think? Do you really think that it's necessary to split this up into two?
I think there's some things they could have cut. I don't think it would have been enough to just make the whole thing one movie.
Okay.
Not without cutting too much. That's just my opinion, and probably the opinion of most people who liked the seventh book. And because there's a lot of things that, whether they're actually relevant to the actual plot, it's just fun to see. I don't know. For fans of the book, you like to see all those things. And another thing that just popped into my mind, actually, I gotta say, when Ron was going to destroy that locket, that was actually a really cool little scene that they did there. Like, I did not picture, at least from the book, that thing was, like, huge. Like, that actually startled me when that, like, giant cloud of whatever the heck that was. That was pretty crazy.
I'll admit I actually thought that was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool. And another thing I actually want to mention was, what I really... I liked it... I think I liked it for the most part, was that during that Deathly Hallows story, all the animation and stuff, that was actually really cool.
It was.
It kind of reminded me of, like, Nightmare Before Christmas, or
a Tim Burton kind of thing.
Yeah, like a Tim Burton thing.
Yeah, they did a good job on that sequence
cool.
anyway.
Yeah, whether or not you think the Deathly Hallows are important or whatever, that little scene was actually cool. I think the animation, whatever. I think the animation for that was actually, I thought it was really cool.
It was very well done.
And I liked Xenophilius when he wasn't crazy at the end so much. But and another thing that I actually was a little upset. In the book, they actually showed Luna's room, and I thought they were going to do that, and it was actually really cool. It would have been cute.
Yeah.
A little bit sappy and sad, but I wanted to see Luna's room. You remember, because it had she painted all her friends on the wall, and it was all Harry and Hermione and Ron and Neville, I think.
Neville was there. Holy hell, Neville grew the fuck up.
Barely
you see him in like 2 seconds, and I'm like,
yeah.
Holy crap, is that Neville?
Well, we're going to see him in the second movie, I'm sure. We have to, because of what he does.
Yeah.
So we'll see more. That's the thing, too, is splitting it up. He sees a little bit of people in the beginning, but he sees everybody again at the end. Too. So if you split it up into two, but they have parts that they
do.
They do. They have their own little roles.
They do.
Fred and George have things to do, and their mom.
Well, one of them doesn't really have much to do except for one thing.
They're there.
But I guess we'll.
Molly has a really cool scene. Hopefully.
Yeah.
You didn't like that scene?
No.
All right.
I guess we'll talk about that in a few
Well,
months.
it was a little bit out of character,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I like
This
it,
is the last
'cause
thing
I
that-
didn't
this-
like Bellatrix, so.
Yeah. Well, this is the last thing I'm going to say about the matter, and then I'll let you have the last word. You can't make a good movie about that book. The book sucked too much. There is no excuse for this being 2 movies. It doesn't even need to be 1. And I hated it.
Well, I guess my last words are going to be, fuck you.
Fair enough. We really love each other. We just disagree. All right. Thank you, guys. We'll see you later.